everyone! Yes, you asked and I delivered. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to cut your guinea pig's nails and run through some tips and techniques that work for very young or very skittish or scared guinea pigs. Or if you yourself are not that confident at it yet and don't know where to start with handling your guinea pigs and getting them to sit still whilst you cut their nails, then this video is for you. Before we get started, I just want to reassure you that it's absolutely possible for you to be able to do this yourself. It just takes practice and finding out the right techniques that work for you. And if you're someone who takes them to the vet to get it done, then I highly recommend having a go yourself, and then hopefully you won't have to pay someone else to do it. And as for equipment, I use a standard human toenail clipper to cut my guinea pig's nails. These tips will still work with a curved pet nail clipper, but I like using this one because I find it really easy to see where I'm cutting, and I can use it to angle the cuts and get a bit more off than usual if the nails are getting a bit long. Guinea pigs have 4 toes on the front feet and 3 on the back. All claws have a blood supply which is called the quick. You can see the quick in white nails, but it is difficult to see in black nails. Ideally you want to avoid cutting the quick, but don't worry if you do, it's not the end of the world. Also, you might find that your guinea pig squeaks even when you don't cut the quick, just if you get close. And one more thing before we get started is that you'll see the nails change over time. As your piggies get to maybe 6 months, the nails will start to thicken up. By the time they are fully grown, they will be quite thick and sturdy. And then as a piggy gets older, the front claws might curl over, even when they are relatively short. This can also happen if they aren't cut and are left to overgrow, as we'll see with Pedro's front feet. Okay then, who's gonna be first? Lyra's got the right idea. She is just a pile of hay. Okay, so with Phoebe, I'm doing what I call the table technique. For this, you just need a blanket laid out on the table in front of you. Make sure you're not wearing a zip-up hoodie or cardigan or anything with layers that they'll want to try and burrow into. Get right up close to the table and position your pig right next to you. The only cover they have is you, so they want to stay close to you. This one works if your pig's reaction to having their nails cut, at least to start with, is to freeze up and be scared. Often, if they're scared like this, then it's easier for us, and I'm going to try and not make her any more scared by overhandling her or trying to manipulate her too much. I also do Roxy's nails in this way, so I'm going to include some clips of me doing Roxy's nails as well. A great tip for piggies like this is to take them out of the room where their cage is and where their friends are and into a room they don't know. It sounds cruel, but it will help. And get these front feet. So see how I'm picking up the foot? I'm right-handed, so I'm using my left index finger to scoop up the foot, and my thumb is just resting lightly on top. I'm not squeezing her foot at all. Phoebe has white nails, so I can see the quick. If your piggy has black nails, you can try with a torch, like some people say, but to be honest, I don't think it's very useful. You can predict where the quick is. It's not going to be right at the end of the nail, it's going to be sort of at the point where the nail starts to become thicker. So if you're not sure, just cut the very end off. So you'll see how I'm only cutting small amounts off. Even when I can see the quick, I prefer to just take a little bit off at a time, especially when she's not moving around too much. And then as I get closer to the quick, you can almost see it recede. It's kind of cool really, and then you can keep taking off a little bit at a time and just get the nail a little bit shorter than kind of where the quick was originally. What I'm going to do to get to this other paw is just lift her up lightly, like so. Gather her paws together, and then I can see the nails here. You might find that they always want to turn to the side, so if you try and work from above, then that'll give you the best sort of viewing angle. See, those nails are quite long and almost starting to curl over a little bit. I know, sweetheart. It's okay, I'm sorry. With the front feet especially, try and get the angle of where the nails are curling. So because they're starting to curl over this side, I'm going to go more in from sort of this angle. And if you are getting quite close to the quick and you're not sure whether you're going to catch it or not, you can always just press down with the clippers lightly, and if they sort of nudge away, then you can tell that you're quite close to the quick. And with practice, you'll be able to tell the difference from when you're okay to cut and when you should just move them back down the nail a little bit. Once I've done the 2 front feet and the left back one, things get a little bit tricky as I can't position my hands to do her back right foot easily. So what I do here is turn her round, hold her foot with my right hand and the clippers with my left, and get the position right using my hand that's holding her foot. Then all I have to do with my left hand is push it down and make the cut. I know, sweetheart. She's biting my jumper. You might find they do that, so don't wear anything too precious. So of course another tactic would be to distract them with food. However, I've found that it doesn't really work because they eat it so fast and then they're kind of back on to get off my feet please. So unless you give them something maybe like a carrot that they'd have to eat more slowly, it could work, and I'd definitely try it if you are struggling. But when I've tried it going back, it's never really worked that well. One of the best things you can do, which a lot of people don't realise, if your biggie is starting to really struggle, is to just leave things for now and take a break. So leave them back in the cage for half an hour or so and then carry on with the nails afterwards. So with Pedro next, things get a bit more challenging. Pedro is a rescue piggy and he had really bad bumblefoot when he came into the RSPCA, so basically he's got foot issues. That said, I have found a way to cut his nails easily. Pedro will not sit there and let me pick up a foot, so I have to pick him up, and this has always been my go-to move with squirmy piggies. So for the front feet, I hold Pedro against me with his front feet lifted so I can see the nails, and do it in a similar way to Phoebe and Roxy, except that I'm holding him much higher up. And this is where we can see the other problem with Pedro's feet. Get a little bit closer. And you get a big nose out of the way. Because he was neglected in the past, his front toes and nails are seriously curved over. So I go kind of perpendicular to his foot with the clippers. A tip for anyone who is particularly nervous, and what I do with almost every cut, is to test their response by squeezing lightly with the clippers first. If they jump and squeak loudly, you know to go a bit lower down on the nail. This is also a good way of committing to the cut because they can move, they can flinch a little bit, or hair could get in the way. As long as you've given it that first squeeze, you know you are good to go ahead and make that snip, even if you can't see it as well. Let's get this one down here. Ready? Oh no, good boy. And another technique you can try with squirmy piggies is to lift them up against you like this and then cut the back feet as they are dangling down. Now obviously you don't have the same control, but you can sort of get into a fairly good position. Hold it before you snip, and then once you're sure you're not going to catch the quick, then you can snip. This method also works really well if you have a second person to help you, because obviously someone can use both their hands to get to these back feet dangling down, and you could even use your spare hand to maybe support their bottom a bit more and make them feel that little bit more safe and secure. And you can also do this method using something to wrap your piggy up. So generally lighter cloths will work better than big fluffy fleece blankets. I would use an old pillowcase like this and simply wrap up your pig, pick them up, and then hopefully you can tease out one of the back feet to work with. And this will just leave them feeling a bit more secure than if you were just holding them up against you with your hand alone. And what we can see here is Pedro's other body quirk, and that is that he has an extra toe on his left back foot. I think this is called polydactyly, and it's very common in guinea pigs, so don't be surprised if you have a piggy who's got this. In most circumstances, this little hanging toe has its own blood supply, and it also has its own nail. So the bad news for me is that this nail needs cutting as well as all the others. And for that, I'll use another way of cutting Pedro's nails, which I find quite easy. So rather than having him completely on his back, I'll sort of prop him up and wrap my left hand around him and use it to pick up whichever back foot I'm going for. So we might struggle a bit at first, but then he's fine. So this way I can hold the foot properly and have better control. So I'll use this to get his nails down that little bit shorter, and also use it to cut that hanging nail on his little extra toe as well. I think we definitely deserve a pea flake after that, don't we? Yes. And if you do cut the quick and you see that the nail is bleeding, for starters, don't worry. It's likely that you've just caught it and only a small bit of blood is going to come out. That probably doesn't even hurt them. So in this case, just hold a clean tissue to it for a couple of minutes and the bleeding should stop. If you've caught it higher up and there's more blood, you might want to use saline to disinfect it, and you can use things like cornstarch or styptic powder to stop the bleeding. But it should always stop on its own after 10 or 15 minutes. And just make sure when they go back in the cage, their bedding and everything in there is nice and clean to prevent any infection. So I really hope you found this video useful, guys. If you did, please drop us a comment below to let us know. And if you have any questions, then I will do my best to get back to you. And if you want to learn more about guinea pig grooming or health problems, then I will put up the playlist to this on the screen now. Okay guys, thank you everyone for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye!